Thank you. I'm Russ Davidson with KG&D, and we were proud to be your architects on your last bond, so I'm glad it was successful in everyone's view. It certainly does look exciting, and the spaces, I think, once you get to use them in the post-COVID world, will be everything that you had hoped. So we're going to hear, we've been here several times before as you refined this proposal, and this is the result of the final proposal. I just think that your committee made some wise decisions, as we're talking about improvements to common spaces in both Cottle and the middle school, high school. So really every student K through 12 will experience benefits in their daily life from the renovations that are included in this bond coming up. Reconfiguration and upgrades to the Cottle Elementary playfield and playground. This has long been a troublesome area for the community and for Cottle, and this is also something that will benefit the Cottle students every day. And then after school, it can be used for sports. It'll be a half football field in synthetic turf, so it'll be important for your practices for middle school and high school athletics, as well as a community benefit with the walking track and be available in off hours. Security upgrades at the middle school, high school. This is continuing some of the work that Bart was talking about in the first bond, but it really gives you sort of classroom access control that you have at Cottle. You'll now have that at the high school as well. And then something that's gained a little bit more attention in the pandemic is air quality improvements to the high school and Cottle Elementary. And we can talk about this in a little bit more detail, but it's going to be healthier indoor air, and then it'll also be cooled. So it's what's called air conditioning, but it's more than just that, actually. And then you also saw your National Register beautiful school building. There's a good amount of masonry restoration, so it's historic preservation of your oldest building. And then another life safety improvement in both buildings is fire alarm systems. So this is your summary. These are not sort of really a lot of optional things. These are things that it's sort of do now or you're going to do later, and it really has a broad benefit. So at Cottle, it's the cafeteria renovation and expansion, renovating 2 of the oldest toilet rooms, the playground upgrades, and then converting Siwanoy Boulevard into a usable play space that connects the school to the playfield. So this is a diagram of the playing field. It basically is going to be regrading it. It'll still have a slight slope to it, but it'll be a little flatter. There is some tree removal. It'll have a walking track around it, and everything inside will be synthetic turf. So that it'll be usable year-round. You can even take a snowblower to it if you want and use it in the winter. Again, it is not it's a regulation Little League baseball field. It can be used for softball, and it's a half football field and a half soccer field. So it'll get a tremendous amount of use, and no more mud and dust. And the playground will be moved up the hill to what's now called the Rock Lot. And what we're proposing is just some sort of bright painted finish for Siwanoy Boulevard, similar to the sort of painted asphalt that you'll see on a tennis court or a track surface. So it'll be a little bit more forgiving, but it's still a road. So you can still use it for pickup and drop off and firefighting access. So this is your, so this is a series of slides of before and after pictures. I'm not seeing my titles on them, so I apologize for that. But this is obviously the before picture of your cafeteria at Cottle. I think what's important to note about this space is this was one of the original spaces in phase 1 of Cottle. So this was your gym, your cafeteria, and your auditorium when that building was first built. And it's never gotten any bigger. But there's been 3 other classroom additions to Cottle to make the rest of the school bigger, and the cafeteria is the same. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of room, but bumping it out about 6 or 7 feet And adding windows that connects it to the street and the playground makes a big difference. And it'll finally feel like a next generation cafeteria and a friendly gathering space. Again, these are just early design renderings, but you get basically one more row of tables. But mostly, it's just a lot more pleasant space. And you can see, because it was a gym, it didn't have very many windows. And this is the after. So again, that white frame with the blue in the middle, very similar to the second-story addition of Cottle. So it's going to tie the two together and really make this school feel whole. This is the view from the top of the hill. This is what it'll look like when it's done. So a much different appearance, and we spent a lot of time trying to render this and make it look right with all the trees, but I think you can see it's going to be a big difference. And then you can see your troubled dirt and grass field, and this is what that'll look like when it's all done. So you can see how the field and the road will sort of flow right to the school. It'll be more connected, and you know, that very important transition from lunch to play will be very natural both ways. So I didn't know you guys were going to have a video in your presentation, but we have one too. So this is sort of a video of that experience. You come down the hall, you come into that new cafeteria. It's much brighter. We're proposing to put some acoustic panels on the wall. They can have a very bright look to it. Some updated furniture, some of the folding tables, maybe some higher tables along the window that can be used for project-based learning or during off hours. And then at both ends, there's little doors, there's single doors to the exterior, so you can go straight from the cafeteria out to Siwanoy Boulevard. And then we're going to speed up and take off. It started as a walk-through, it ended up as a fly-through. But you can see you get up high, and there's the playground on the rock lot, the slope down to the playing field. You can see it looks much bigger with the walking track and the trees removed. It's going to be a really nice, usable space for you.
That's really, really cool. Are they excavating those big rocks up there?
Yep. There'll be a little bit of rock removal.
And you're just moving the existing playground, right?
Yes, we're going to reuse the existing play structure, but new surfaces. Then we come back down to Siwanoy Boulevard. So thanks to our talented staff for that little virtual reality.
That was great, Russ. If you could have put Mr. Morash and Mr. Fugala in that video,
Well, believe it or not, we have to buy 3D people. We can scan any one of you who would like to be in it. But I'm glad you enjoyed the video. We had a lot of Cottle modeled in 3 dimensions from our last project. So we were able to sort of punch that up and add this. And videos is the latest fun thing for the under 40-year-olds to do. The over 40-year-olds just tell people to do them. Infrastructure is important. Corridor ceilings, fire alarm system. But I want to talk a little bit about the older classrooms in Cottle. So your building meets code because it meets the code at the time the building was designed. But it doesn't meet today's standards. And frankly, post-pandemic, everyone is feeling more and more obligated to have every space, no matter what its age, meet today's standards. So what we're proposing for Cottle and the older classrooms here is to use an outside air, dedicated outside air unit. This is called an energy recovery unit. So it actually uses the heat from the air exiting to pre-warm the air that's coming in. But they never cross over. It just transfers the heat. So what that means is all the fresh air being pumped in is new. There is no recycled air. So yes, it has a high level of filtration, but most importantly, you're not recycling the air that's in the rooms. You're bringing in 100% new outside air in an energy efficient way. And then in the rooms, you're going to have what's called variable refrigeration units, which I think you have some already around the district. These cassettes that are on the wall, they recirculate the air and cool it or heat it. But again, you're getting the fresh air from the energy recovery outside air unit, and then it's being cooled with the cassette VRF unit, which gives you individual control in each room. So you're not dealing with, I have no kids in here, I'm freezing, or there's 30 kids in here, let's turn that up. So it's an ideal hybrid system, and it's very cost effective. So at the Tuckahoe Middle School, High School, we're talking about upgrading the library, the cafeteria, air conditioning the new wing, and then the older classrooms will also have the same outside air unit with the VRF. Now the new wing already has ductwork and air circulating, so that's a matter of adding cooling and better filtration to your existing HVAC units, so that won't be the 100% outside air system. Here's a proposed update for the library. We'll try and reuse the carpet, but again, furniture supporting project-based learning and really making it into a next-generation learning space. And what's kind of exciting is to reimagine the cafeteria, which also hasn't changed in quite a number of years, with new furniture, layouts, and finishes and lighting, a new serving area to make it a brighter, more popular space. I remember talking with Bart, that room is used every day, every period of every day for something. So it's a lot more than a cafeteria. It's a really important space in the school, and it deserves a better, an updated appearance. And what was a little hard for a lot of people to understand is that the image on the upper left is a space that's right behind us, right here. It's completely unused, and it connects the cafeteria and the library, and it also has those 3 exterior doors and an exterior plaza that is unused. So we're going to remake that connection, renovate all those spaces, so the library, cafeteria, and that space will all be usable and connected. And then just lastly, the infrastructure items here, accessible ramp, stone and masonry repairs, the hardware and security, some stair and railings at the gym exit, replacing the gym flooring, fire alarm system, and the mechanical ventilation upgrades. And as Lee said before, it's a $9.9 million project overall, with the majority of the money this time around being spent at the middle school, high school. And implementation would happen right after a successful funding vote. All your project elements will fully qualify for state building aid. Interest rates and construction pricing are a lot better than prior years. And the playing field improvements and related work at Cottle will be expedited to be usable as soon as possible. And then all work would be complete by the start of the school year in 2023. And that's it.
Okay, one more on the finances.
Thank you.
Ms. Wu will add the financial piece to this,
Chris, can you help me with that?
so
Can you help me get that one up?
just to give the,
You said 2023, do you mean the 2022, 2023 fiscal year?
Oh, to go through it.
I mean, the beginning of the 23, 24.
What they might have. I'm putting, would be great.
Ross, why will it take that long?
Well, it's 21 now, and it usually takes about 6 months to a year to do design and approvals. So while the tile work probably will go first, you're gonna need the following summer of 2023 22 and maybe 23 to finish the renovations. If it can be done sooner, it'll be done sooner, but typically it's about a year for design approvals and a year to 2 for construction. I mean, think of your 2018 bond and where we are now.
Yeah. I think we're having a discussion that's not on microphone, so the folks at home are not going to be able to hear this.
Yeah.
So let's just make sure we're,
Sorry.
yeah. We're just discussing timelines, right?
Yeah. Okay, and I have a brief presentation on the financials that would support a project that Russ was just discussing. So the Tuckahoe community financially, and I guess the financial statistics of the community, there are 1,252 single-family homes in the district with a total assessed value of $18,177,397. The median, or the median typical assessed value for a home in Tuckahoe is $8,300. That means half the homes are valued higher and half the homes are valued lower, but the median is $8,300. In 2021, the school district tax rate was $1,595.98 per $1,000 of assessed value. So that means if you had the median assessed value home of $8,300, there's 83 times 1,595.98 would be your tax bill for school district taxes. And that would be translated to $13,250 approximately. That would be the median valued tax bill. Credit-wise, the district has an excellent credit rating. Moody recently reevaluated the district, and our rating remains at AA3. And interest rates, as you know, are at historic lows. So the cost to borrow for this project is very, very low right now. So how does a district pay for a large capital project? Large-scale projects on the nature that we're talking about tonight cannot be accomplished within an annual budget. Our annual budget is $36 million, and we're talking about a $10 million project. We could never raise taxes high enough to accomplish something of this scale. So school districts issue bonds to fund large capital project improvements. These bonds allow the district to borrow funds at an advantageous interest rate. These bonds are typically tax-free. And the utilization of this process allows the district to take advantage of New York State building aid. When voters approve a project of this nature and do it in this fashion, we are entitled to apply for building aid, which right now for the district is about 24%. So if we're talking about a $10 million project, $2.5 million of it are paid for by the state in partnership with the district. Of course, it's not paid for all at once. It's amortized over the life of the project, but that we try to time the borrowing and the repayment of the debt with the building aid flowing in, and that helps the district make it more manageable to its taxpayers. And again, school districts may only borrow up to the amount of funds that are authorized by the voter-approved referendum. So we have to stay within the scope of the project that we describe to the community, and we cannot borrow more money than the community gives us authority to borrow. So the project cost, as we've discussed right now, is $9.9 million. The annual cost of debt for a $9.7.5 million bond, which is because we can pay for a little of it with some excess funds in our cafeteria fund, would be, so our annual cost to pay back that debt would be $728,000 over, I'm estimating, about 16 years based on the lifespan of the project and the way it's calculated by the state. If you subtract out our estimated annual building aid of $146,300, the net annual cost of new debt would be $581,700. And for that typical home that is valued at $8,300, that would translate to a cost of $266 per year for 16 years to pay for the improvements. Those numbers of years may change slightly, but that's about what we're estimating at this time. Graphically, I don't have a video, but graphically we can take a look at the impact of the debt service on the district. The bottom blue bars are the existing debt that the district is currently paying back each year for older projects and other borrowings in the district. And that, as you can see, tapers down over the years to about almost, it goes away, and I don't have my graph in color, so I can't see it as well. But it does go away over time in the next few years. On top of that, in the red, is the estimated cost of the borrowings for the current project that we're just finishing. And we're just starting up borrowing for that project now. We haven't really had to borrow long-term yet because we haven't finished the project. But as we finish it up, we will move into long-term financing. And you can see how that red bar flows through and pretty much maintains the first few years the same level of debt that we were paying before. As debt drops off, we're picking up new debt. The green on top is the new debt for this project we're talking about. So the first few years of the project, we do show a bit of an increase on that debt, but after 4 years, after 5 years, we drop down as the other debt falls off, and you can see that the total cost of debt is less than what we'd be currently paying for the next few years. So debt is moving away, and it becomes almost debt neutral after the first few years, and less than debt neutral even, to pick up this new debt service. The next steps for the bond are there will be community information and virtual town hall presentations, as well as information on our website that you can refer to. The community will vote on the capital project proposition as a referendum at the annual budget vote. It will be on the same ballot as the annual budget vote as a separate proposition, and that will be on May 18th, Tuesday, May 18th. And so when you vote on the budget, you will also have an opportunity to vote on the bond. And if the bond is approved by the community, the next step would be a preparation of detailed plans and designs by the architect with input from the planning committee and the board, as well as administration and other people in the district. Once that's completed, and that takes a few months, as Russ was saying, that is submitted to the New York State Education Department for review and approval. That can take anywhere from 6 to 9 months, depending on the volume of plans that are being presented up at Albany. Once that's approved, we can go out to bid and begin construction as soon as possible. And that concludes mine.